Welcome back to the Random Podcast with Raffy and Chandra. Huzzah! Yay!
Yeah.
No, we need cheering. We need cheering, so let's go with cheering. Yeah, that's a better one. This episode, we thought we'd do something a little bit different, which is we wanted to talk about public speaking. And this is because I recently had to do a presentation or a few presentations for a course over at Stanford. And I do not like public speaking. And so I got a little bit curious. And Chandra, do you know where it comes up on the rank of things that people don't like doing? Like, in phobias? Like, do you have to guess what's number 1 to
I'd say in
10?
the top 10 somewhere. I reckon in the top 10 somewhere. Top
Yeah,
5,
so
top
I
5.
actually, for some reason, I started thinking about this on the bus today. I was going to go visit the Golden Gate Bridge, so I used ChatGPT to summarize it. So, and I thought it was wrong, so I tried another model and then actually just Googled it myself. So, glossophobia, or the fear of public speaking in front of an audience, is number 1 in all phobias, right? Now, just to give you the full list of other stuff that's on this, right? So there's social phobia, which is number 2, which is fear of being judged in a social situation. Acrophobia, or fear of heights, right? Claustrophobia, confined spaces. Aerophobia, fear of flying. So those are the top 5. And then the rest of it, like, there's arachnophobia, agoraphobia. So, like, spiders is number 6. Open spaces, right?
Yeah, that's a fair way down. So given the choice between a large spider or public speaking, which one would you choose?
Yes, I would go with that. I'm like, arachnophobia is fairly high up on my list. But what I found interesting is that there's also emetophobia, so fear of vomiting, right? Which is number 8.
Yeah, right.
But so this is the one that blew my mind, is that public speaking is number 1. Number 1 fear, right? Right? It's higher than the fear of cancer. That just blows my mind. But does it? I was like, I think, like, emotionally, I might be like, oh, yeah, public speaking and whatnot. But if I had to do that, like, having a cancer diagnosis, I think I'd go like, yep, all right, fine, whatever. I'll go speak,
Maybe one comes up more often than the other one.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And just for the sake of interest, trypanophobia, which is the fear of needles or injections, it rounds out the top 10. But given that this is the number 1 fear
of you.
Well, yeah. Actually, this was ironically something that I had to talk about during the presentation, but that's it. So
there's a good startup that deals with this.
Yes, this is true. This is true. Hey, if you haven't, this is a callback to the episode with the founder of SmileScope, Evelyn. So that, I think, was in season 2. So if you guys haven't that, and we'll put that in the show notes.
Shout out to SmileScope. Hope they're doing well.
Yeah. Oh, well, Evelyn's just moved to Florida, actually. She messaged me not that long ago after I moved here. But getting back on topic, yes, she's probably visiting Mar-a-Lago to play golf, as far as I know.
I think most people do that.
Yep. That's the only thing I really know about Florida. And Pitbull doing his Miami dances and raps.
And meth alligator.
And I think we should probably explain to the people who are actually watching this on video. Chandra is a night vlogger because I think it's just getting to sunrise over there. And if you are watching the video, you'll notice that the horizon is not level. So there is a lot of boat noises at the moment, because this is another one of those, Chandra has chosen this life, and this life includes being stuck in inclement weather on a boat.
I don't know if cheering is the right one.
No, that was a laughing track. Laughing track.
Right. I feel like it is definitely an appropriate move, but maybe don't look at my background too much. It waves a lot.
Yeah. So
I'm hoping that settles down later this evening, and hopefully it doesn't affect Starlink.
Oh, well, I mean, it's gone so okay so far. But any theories on why people have like fear of public speaking as number 1? Or what's your experience with it?
uh, yeah, I reckon the biggest thing is it's basically kind of putting yourself out there for mass judgment for everybody, essentially. Um, like, hey, I'm going to say some stuff, and you normally assume that other people are, know more than you, and so it's like, oh, I'm going to get caught out about something. I remember that was my first, I was not very confident with the whole public speaking thing, that'd be my worry. And I guess people probably have had bad experiences as well. And if you have one, then you definitely don't want to go again.
And
What about
is
yourself?
it a
What do you
fear for
think
you?
sort of? It used to be for sure. Now it's kind of just like a annoyance at what it is at annoyance level.
So what
And I
changed
think
it?
the biggest revelation for me, was realizing, oh, generally speaking, if you read up on something, you probably know more than the audience about it. And I remember this came in like back when we used to do like research presentations for a conference, present research, and it'd be quite intimidating because there'd be all these super high-powered professors sitting in the audience and everything, listen to you give your presentation or your research. But what I realized for those ones as well is you've spent like half a year reading about this top one very niche topic. And so, generally
Yeah,
speaking,
that's true.
you do tend to know more than everybody about insert random niche specific topic that you've been studying for the last 6 months. So that kind of helps. And then the other thing I found helpful is I remember going to a conference where the speaker, it was a research one, but the speaker was not a medical person. It was actually a salesperson. And I remember going, oh, wow, this is like 10 times better than every other speaker here. And it's just because he just went through stories. And he basically conveyed a message using a couple of stories. And I was like, this is much more sensible. People actually remember this. Actually, bit empty, but story-wise, great. And there was a really, well, yeah, it reminded me there was another good TED Talk. I'll try and put that in the show links as well. Someone showed me where basically it was a guy talking about, I'm going to do a speech, and here's the inflection point, and here's this interesting story I'm going to tell you. And he went for a good 5 to 10 minutes describing how he's going to do a presentation, and that was his speech. And you're like, yeah, good speech.
That's awesome. I haven't seen that, so yeah, I'd be curious to actually see that video. Actually, so this like brings us to a random side tangent, which is what Brandon is all about. So one of the people that's one of the ML engineers for the lab that I'm going to be working at, so machine learning expert too. So he was almost going to do med, but realized that actually he wants to focus more on innovation and helping out like more policy and other things and research side of things. He was saying that, yeah, so he can, when you start talking to him, he'll start asking you all these factual questions, right? But the moment it gets to anything marketing, he can't do it. And like what I was trying to tell him is marketing is all about, when you want to say you are the best at this, but you then want to put a little asterisk and say because of X, Y, and Z, or here's the little sub context, like just ignore that part, right? That's the part that no one wants to hear,
Yeah.
and etc. And so it just sounds like, what you were saying about the sales guy is that the exactness of the phrasing and the minutia kind of ruins a good story, right? Because it's very hard to have that much complexity unless you're like Tolkien and you're writing a novel that's like 5 sagas long to explain everything. If you're trying to do like a short presentation, you have to like summarize it in some way, shape, or form. And stories sell more than like other things do. But getting back to public speaking stuff, I have been fortunate enough to not have to do it that much. Like I kind of went through the whole training pathway, getting to
That's
a
a good
point where
strategy.
I did the bare minimum because I didn't like it. So now I'm in this awkward position where I'm senior enough that people just expect that I'll be able to do it, but it freaks me the hell out when I have to. Right? And so For me, it's still like,
Mm.
I was doing this presentation, and these are like pre-med students, right? Like these are high schoolers. And I don't know what we were presenting on. Oh, it was just like they were going to be doing like a role play mock interview thing. And I remember getting up, and I know this happens to me every single time where I'll get up and just like the first sort of 3 minutes, I need to basically convince myself like I have to go, all right, so pretend I'm a confident speaker, get up there, so my throat will be like totally dry. I'll be getting like, sweaty palms and the pounding heart and everything else, right? And I bet you this happens every time. If there's a recording of every single thing, in about the 2 minute mark, if you listen very closely, my voice will waver, right? If you look very closely, it'll be
Mm.
there. And after that point, I'm like, all right, everyone can see I'm a fake. And after that point, right, I kind of turn around like, all right, they haven't like booed and gone out. Then like confidence switches on. And it's like this weird curve
Mm.
that it happens every single time. And for me, it still happens. So yeah, that was my experience with the high school. I was like, ooh, they don't even know anything. So it's like, I shouldn't feel nervous, but I always do.
I wonder, does that mean that when you go on stage, you're just waiting for that little confidence change, and then you're like, okay, I'm good to go.
Yeah, it takes me a little while, but once I then get going and find my little groove, then I'm okay. Or at least I just convince myself it doesn't matter anymore. Like it's already terrible, so it can't go any lower, you know. Uh, but yeah,
And what
so
do you do
I
in
did
terms
look
of
this.
preparing for speaking? Do you sort of, do you tend to like have your speech memorized, or do you just have some dot points and wing it, or what do you do?
I probably, so for me, if it's something that's really important, I'll memorize it, right? But I'll memorize it to the point where, like, after a while, it becomes like you can tell it's a memorized speech, like it's not fresh.
Hmm.
It's just like you're saying it, right? So, like, so say for the last time I had to do this properly or to this level was for like job interviews and things like that, right? And then there's like one anesthetic presentation where you kind of have to do it uh, in front of the whole audience, and it's like a research summary, like it's a general study sort of thing. So I prepared almost word for word stuff, and then basically got a friend to listen in and ask me very tangential questions. Like it couldn't be a very obvious question. It couldn't be. I gave him a list of questions. These are the obvious ones, right? So I'd like remix these, right? So come at me at like weird
Yeah,
other
just
sides.
because we
So
haven't talked about
basically,
AI enough, I think that would be the perfect example of what AI would be great at. Here's my presentation, come up with some really random questions that might be related, somebody might ask.
yeah, yeah,
I'll
yeah.
bet you that would be
But
good.
the thing is like, so by doing that, what happened was like, so this takes a little bit extra time because you memorize it. Then you just basically the choose questions force you to have your entire topic as dot points because you need to be able to remix it. So in my brain anyway, when you start asking me weird questions, I'm like, oh, I need this bit of this part, this bit of that part. Let's remix on the fly. So it makes it fresh, right? So once I
Mm.
get to that stage, then I kind of know the general dot point outline and I can freestyle it, or at least it seems closer to freestyle. Does that make sense? So it's almost like you got to memorize, then
Yeah.
go a step further if it's really important. But most of the time, I try to just go, hey, these are like let's just say, usually it's 3 to 5 main topics and 3 to 5 topics in that. And I can kind of hold that in my
Mm.
head and kind of go, let's not forget X, Y, and Z. And even if you forget like the fifth point, if you can, I feel like if you have 5 main topics and you can get to about 3 dot points, it's like, there's an art depth there. Or you can, and I'm not bad at coming up with stories on the fly. So even for the presentation,
Mm.
the best bits were I was like, and then this brings me to this clinical event. And you could see that was like the most engaging part of the actual student talk. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was kind of good. Yeah, but any actual
I find with the
do
memorizing thing as well, it's interesting for like really important stuff. I also find I memorize, and then like you said, there's a point after memorization where it kind of becomes second nature, and you're no longer thinking about the words. So you think
yeah,
more about the delivery, and that's what
yeah,
I find works well for me. But that takes a fair bit of effort. And so for the majority of some I find, for me, it's just dot points and a set of stories, and that's about it. And you can kind of wing it from there.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on the nature of the presentation, right? Like there's obviously, like say if you're doing a research presentation where it's like the core bits are technical, it's hard to just put a story in right away. Like you gotta go through some of the weirdness or
Oh
the
no, you're
detail.
just like, look, this is Bob. He's a cell. He just likes to, move through the world. He was cycling one day and then he fell off. And that's the story of apoptosis. The end. Please give me more research funding.
If one single
And the
cell falling
bicycle was
over
insert
causes,
chemical here.
if a single cell falling over is proptosis,
And the
I
ground
think
was
your
my drug.
analogy, it was all an interpretive dance. Let me show you. I would love to see
Exactly.
your research presentation.
Please, sir, can I have some more funding?
So weirdly, this so I put it as a little dot point on our little show notes thing, but I look at the theoretical evolutionary reason why most people hate public speaking,
Oh,
right? And it was weird because on the bus, I went to the Golden Gate Bridge, as I said, and on the way back, I feel like, Americans, the Surgeon General is supposedly like the chief medical officer for America. Why he needs to be a surgeon, I don't know, but that's yeah. So he described
oh yeah, it's a good point.
recently, right?
Why is he not an
they're not
ophthalmologist?
operating. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely not operating. They come up with like the most non-operative things ever.
Yeah.
Like no one goes, it's a pandemic of gallbladders. No, right? His thing is, it's a pandemic of, you know, loneliness in the country that's getting to fatal proportions. And
Hmm?
there's, evidence that, socializing and all that stuff does have a protective benefit, right? So two things happened today, and I think I'll tell you the story because I think the ending makes like why the whole public speaking thing ties together. So one guy was sitting behind me, and he was just chatting to the guy next door, and I thought they were friends, right? He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm making." I didn't want to turn around, but made some little wallety things, and he was just talking about it, and I was like, "Man, you're pretty loud about it." And he's like, "Oh, do you want one?" To the other guy. I just thought they were like really good friends. Almost where I was going to get off, he got off at the stop before. I realized that he was a total stranger. He was just so lonely that he just started talking to the guy next door. And then the guy was just playing along. So he was like,
Nice.
"Oh, do you want some of this? Do you want some of that?" Right? In the end, I was like, wow, so totally random strangers, right? And the other thing was when I got on the bus driver's trying to drive, and there's this guy standing next to him telling him, he's like, "Oh, I've got all these data sets." He's clearly like, AI ML data scientist or something. And he's like, "Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
people are just always on their stupid phones and they just never like, in-person stuff is much better. You pick up on all this stuff." And it's like, yeah, it's like, it's almost like we've created I can't remember the exact phrasing, but what he was trying to say is that in the modern workforce where everyone wants to work from home, we basically created the worst version of things for people because it's like when you're in a jail, right? Minus being on like death row, what's the most severe form of things you can do, which is being in isolation, right? Like
Hmm.
you take the most dangerous people, you isolate them, and you just basically block them out from any other social conditioning. And it turns out that in terms of public speaking, the reason it's so feared, allegedly, according to Notion AI, and actually, like it's come up a couple of times, so I've searched it on a few different things, is that you are on a stage, so all attention is on you, right? So it's not like, say, if you start a new job where it's like a co-workers or a few people might know, it's you're there and the entire audience is focused on you, right? And so hence there's this fear of judgment because you have all this attention. And the other part of it is that if you are weird, right, and a group dislikes you, evolutionarily, humans were not strong,
Hmm.
right? Like, as in, well, single human versus T-Rex, T-Rex wins. And single human versus like average
Yep.
cat, the cat will probably do more damage. Like it has way more claws. It'll
Probably
kill
still
you
win
with its vanilla
because
and
it's fat.
yeah, right. But group of humans, now you have this defensive structure. So if you were ostracized by a group, that was essentially like a mortal blow. Like if you were like excluded from the group, that's it. You're basically on your own, and you probably won't even survive the night, because who's going to be the lookout when you go to sleep, right? So the need for group acceptance or group, like to be part of the group, is so strong that you don't want to disappoint the group or get judged by the group. And that's the basis of why there's this huge, or that's the proposed basis of why there is this huge fear of public speaking, which I would not have come to that conclusion. But yeah, that's where the thing is.
Makes sense. But then on the flip side, when you think, well, if I give a good public speech, then I'll get extra protection or extra, I don't know, brownie points. And therefore, it's a good thing.
True. But the thing is, if you give, so clearly there's like the charismatic leaders of the world and the politicians who play fill that role, right?
There's also, I guess, there's the fear of doing something wrong is bigger than the fear of like loss. It's not child.
Well, actually, if you look at the logic of it, right? If you give no speech, then you're not going to be ostracized, right? So your risk matrix is actually the opposite way, where doing or avoiding doing the speech is the best reward, because then there is no negativity. Yeah, sure, you don't get the extra cherry on top stuff, right? But you haven't done anything that risks ostracization, which is fatal. So, whereas the extra protection or extra popularity arguably has some things, but it's not as...
How can you become the Trump of your times then?
The aim for everyone.
Yeah, right?
Anyway.
Isn't that why you went to the US?
Yes, that's it. Watch out for my run for the Democratic primaries. I think they've already been, but yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really know how a thing on public speaking ended up going into politics.
We haven't talked about yet.
Yeah.
The Tesla. That's the only thing we're missing.
We got AI in there. All right. How do we put Tesla? I mean, free speech X. Like, I don't know. Actually, it's getting weird over on X.com. Actually, on the free speech part, where they've unbanned all these policies, rebanned people for all these old policies, so no one really knows where the line is. So that seems to be the thing at the moment.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
I guess main thing is nobody in Australia really uses it, so it's fine.
I don't know. Like, yeah, I mean, I think I have an account because of back in the JMTM days. I used to run that account, and then I definitely have like my own one, because I think I need. Yeah, I just don't get I tried using threads and all that, but it just seems like people will put up something and it's just clearly wrong, and it's baiting other people to point out that clearly wrong just to pick a fight. Like you read some of the stuff, I'm like, you're doing this. Why are you wasting everyone's time? It's like, here's an incorrect statement, prove me wrong. Like, you just said 1 + 1 = 7. Like, why is it on me to convince you that you're wrong? Like, you're wrong. If you can't figure it out, great. Life's gonna be tough for you.
Factor, right? It's just an alternative fact.
Yeah. Anyway, dear listeners, if you use X, Twitter, whatever it's called these days, and you enjoy it, could you leave us a voicemail or an explanation of why it's enjoyable, instead of looking at it
what are we doing wrong here?
Yeah, I don't understand the entertainment value. I look at it and I'm like, so much of the stuff is opinion or just intentionally wrong just to get a rise out of people. Now, I could just watch the news then, or talk to friends who just have really questionable stances on things. But yeah, anyway, that is very far from the topic at hand of public speaking. Did you have anything else to say about public speaking? Are you going to be doing any public speaking soon?
No, I think, yeah. Public speaking? I've kind of just avoided it this year. Turns out when you do public speaking from the front of your boat, no one's really listening. So, Sort of just looks like you're
Yeah,
talking to yourself, but that's fine. All the other
what do
imaginary
you mean?
people in front of me are listening, so it's all good.
It's just like the Titanic, you know. There'll be someone. They'll come and you'll have to pretend like you're on top of the world or whatever they said. I've never actually watched the movie.
Isn't that an Imagine Dragons
Whereas,
song? Anyway,
yeah, it could be. Anyway, it seems like this year is going to be a public speaking year for me because I've got probably more presentations to do than anything else. But with that, what do you think about public speaking? And do you have to do a lot? And do you have any tips and tricks? Let us know either in the comments or by leaving us a voice message. That hasn't actually happened in a little while. And remember to
yeah,
like and
we need one of
subscribe.
those.
Yeah, and leave us a review, actually. You can just, yeah, that's it. Just use the review space to give us a good rating and then tell us how you deal with public speaking. Yes,
Let's do that.
that'll do. All right, with that,
That's a
we'll
good
see you
trick.
in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.